LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman was asked about the David Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, and he said that he was unable to comment on it because one, LAPD is still investigating this case, and two, the case has not landed on his desk. LAPD has not turned over the case to him. He did make it very clear that he knows that LAPD is still very much investigating this case, and law enforcement is not going to comment on a suspect or person of interest until they are ready. Now, as I shared the other day, we did get confirmation that law enforcement did end up seizing video surveillance footage from the Hollywood Hills home that David was renting through his manager. Now, remember, a few days ago, the homeowner said that there are cameras on the outside of the residence on the property. However, he was unsure if law enforcement was able to obtain any footage because he didn't know if the cameras were on or off. He said that he had no access to that video footage because of privacy agreements with the renters, and therefore he could not confirm if Celeste had ever been to that property. Well, in a newer interview, he is now saying that the cameras, if they were on, would have captured anyone entering or leaving the property. So now I have two questions that I'm hoping that the homeowner will get wind of and maybe answer. One, are the cameras that were on this property on the outside his cameras? And was David able to turn them on and off freely from within the residence, which would explain why he didn't know if they were on or off? Or two, were these cameras put on the property by David and his team for David's protection, which again, David probably would have been able to turn on and off freely if he wanted to. And not even just David necessarily, but others who could have been staying with him in this mansion, or others who had access to this mansion through him. If the cameras were off, how long were they off? Were they off for long periods of time? Were they off for minutes? Were they just off completely? Were they just on when he was on tour, when he wasn't occupying the residence? Because the homeowner is now saying that law enforcement did take footage from those cameras, they had to have been on for some period of time. But did they capture anything that is incriminating enough to bring charges against someone? I'm leaning toward no, because if there was footage of someone taking out a body in a bag, they would have had that already, and an arrest arguably would have already been made, because that would be proof of a crime being committed, concealing a body, which is the only crime that we know of at this moment that was committed. Remember, in a lot of other cases that we've covered here on my page, if authorities suspect someone of taking someone else's life, they typically will bring them into custody and charge them with something unrelated, so that way they have enough time to compile evidence against them for an unaliving charge, and they're already behind bars, so they don't have to go out and seek this person. And we're not seeing that here, so that's making me feel like maybe authorities don't feel like they have a suspect when it comes to Celeste's death. The medical examiner's report has still not come back, or at least has not been made public. Remember, we were awaiting the toxicology and the tissue histology. Usually these tests take weeks, sometimes even months, to come back with results, but I feel like because this is such a high profile case, they could have expedited that process. So I can't help but wonder if law enforcement knows the results of all of these tests that the medical examiner performed, and maybe they're just not something that they can use as evidence, and they're just keeping that to themselves so the public doesn't jump down their throats as they try to obtain and collect evidence in a different area. Or is it possible that they just really don't have the test results back yet? This case is really frustrating because regardless of what happened to Celeste, a crime took place. Someone concealed her body. Someone concealed her death. She was dating an adult as a child. Charges need to be brought about for at least those two things. So that's why a lot of us are continuing to keep Celeste's name in the media, trying to ensure that justice is served so that this case does not fall through the cracks like so many others. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this stuff in the comments, and make sure you're following me. As soon as we have any new information or updates, I will be sure to share with you guys.